Week one of the Bink or Bust Bankroll Challenge is complete. So far, a pretty successful week. We will get right into the updates, where the bankroll's at. We're going to review some of the best hands. We're going to review some of our losing hands. We're going to talk about adjustments that we're going to make. We're going to talk about our weekly goals and where we want to get to next week, and how the overall challenge is going. So let's get right into it. Oh, there's my cat just hanging out. Flame Point Ragdoll for all of you guys who are cat people. Right there, just hanging out. But yeah, we're gonna get right into this update. Let's go. Well, King 10 suited we have here in the small blind. Under the gun player, or under the gun villain, is going to be opening. I think we got a pretty good setup going here with GTO to our left and our hand review on the right, plus the camera. I think it looks pretty clean, so we'll kind of roll with this for now. Any suggestions, we can do that. So King 10 suited, pretty standard. Undergun opens, everybody folds, and we decide to make the call in the small blind. It's fine, 50-50 here. King 10 suited, you can raise or call. I know a lot of training sites and stuff push for not having a small blind calling range, and I think that's fine as you move up in stakes. I think at the lower stakes, it's fine to be calling some of these suited aces, suited kings, like pocket pairs out of the small blind, because you're going to over-realize against the majority of opponents. So anyways, we do just call. Big blind folds, and the flop comes queen 9-3, and of course we just check to him. So he's going to be betting about 50% of the time with his range. In this case, he does elect to barrel. He does about 33% pot. Now, if you'll note here, their GTO sizings versus his sizings are a little bit different. So, you know, it'll be close enough for what we're trying to get across here to check our lines. Now, we have a couple options here. We can obviously check raise. We're going to be doing that with, you know, hands like 3-4 suited, deuce 3 suited, ace 3 suited. We're going to do that with bare ace of clubs sometimes. We're going to do it with like 10 jack of spades, 10 jack of diamonds, 10 jack of clubs. We're going to do pocket 3s, pocket 9s, some of these queens, stuff like that. Mostly checking a lot of that, but yeah. So we do elect to go for the check raise here. So we're going to just come over here for GTO, check that. As you can see, GTO is about 65% calling, 28% raising. So that sounds about right. And when I just have the flush draw, I lean more towards calling without the ace of clubs, and more towards raising when I have extra equity. Like here, we have an overcard, and we have a jack, and we have all the clubs. So makes sense. So we raise under the gun, thinks it over for a little bit. Obviously, his range is going to include, you know, queen 9 suited, sometimes queen 3 suited. It's going to include queen X, like ace queen, king queen, pocket king, pocket aces, or 3s, pocket 9s. All those are going to still be in his range, as well as, like, you know, some king jack suited, some king 10 suited of diamonds, jack 8 clubs. Could potentially include some like ace X, ace deuce of clubs, ace 3 clubs, ace king queen, ace queen of clubs, stuff like that. All going to be in his range still. So he does elect to call, and 5 of clubs rolls off. Now, if you check here, this seems like a relatively standard play to me. Just continue, you know, we make flush, we continue barreling. In this case, GTO actually checks almost 100% with the king 10 of clubs. 3.7% of the time, it's betting small, but almost always it's just checking. 95%. That's basically 100% check here with the king of clubs. Now, my assumption would be that like this is a pretty good hand to sort of protect our checking range with, I guess. Also, if we continue barreling here, maybe it's a little hard to get value, because it's like we've maybe eliminated a lot of the weaker flush draws that it would be in his range, right? Like 5-6 clubs, 4-5 clubs, 8-9 clubs, 9-10 clubs. Can't have any of those hands. So no, he's kind of left with very few Queen X of clubs, Jack X of clubs, and Ace X of clubs. Or he has lots of Ace X of clubs, but very few like King, Queen, like Queen X clubs, Jack X clubs. We obviously elect to go 3/4 pot here, but the check does, in fact, make a lot of sense. We do end up doing a lot of checking on this board, so this would significantly like improve our checking range and do a pretty good job strengthening it. But anyways, yeah, so we do elect to bet. And Villain thinks it over for a little bit. I think he's obviously calling club draws. Straights, sets, all that stuff we're still going to call. So he does call. River peels off with the Jack of Spades. And in this case, GTO bets very small, like 10% pot, give or take, 10% pot, 25% pot, something like that. We don't do that. So, we think it over for a little bit here, and then we end up blasting 2x. So, I don't like the 2x pot shove too often. Actually, I don't really like it at all. I think by doing this, he could fold King 10. All of his 2 pairs, all of his sets are probably going to fold. I think the only hands they're going to call here are flushes. And I think those hands would, whether we bet small, they would raise us, or if we check to them, they're going to value bet. And if we check to them, it looks like we're giving up. So I think 2 pairs start to value bet, sets start to value bet. The only argument is that with the lower stakes, people don't value bet thin enough because there's a flush out there. You're going to see them check back 2 pairs and sets a lot. So you know what I mean? I think that is a factor to consider. But for the most part, I think we just rip it in here some portion of the time. But I think it makes way more sense to just check this and then give him the opportunity, because like if he has a flush, he's going, like if we bet small or we check, he's going to barrel the flush, we're going to shove, he's going to call pretty much 100% of the time, versus what we're seeing here is he actually, like we 2x pot shove here, and he goes into the tank. And I think the only reason we get called here from him is that we have enough history that he knows that I would do this with the berries of clubs. Whereas a good portion of microstakes pools won't do that. So I think overall the hands played, I think the hands played perfectly fine. I was a little bit surprised on the turn with the fact that you're supposed to check there. And I think on the river, he made a mistake by 2x pot shoving it. I think it's not terrible because his hand is weighted towards sets and flushes. So kind of putting them in a spot where, they have to fold a really, really strong hand probably isn't terrible because a lot of people won't be willing to do it. But I also think if we check there, we can probably get more value out of other hands, and we could even induce him to bluff if he had a hand that was just the ace of clubs. Now we've obviously had some fantastic success over the first 7 days, taking the bankroll from 2,500 up to 3,300. Just puts us that much closer to jumping stakes, of course. So I think over the next week we're going to try to hopefully maintain this progress and keep pushing and pushing and pushing. Now, obviously, given the times that we're streaming and our player pool and stuff, we'll still be playing NL50 NL 100, etc. As we move up, a lot of, you know, it's going to be dictated just by what tables are open and what's kind of happening. You know, on these days, in mornings when we do play, you can see there's not a whole lot of higher stake action right now. There's always a couple NL 100, NL 200, NL 50 tables running, so we're going to kind of go with that as we push through. Now, we'll probably have to switch up our streaming times as we increase stakes, but I don't think that'll happen you know, super soon or anything like that. Obviously, we got a long way to go before we can jump up to NL 200 if we want to maintain a relatively okay bankroll. So I think right now we're obviously playing NL 50 and NL 100, so we've already jumped a stake, which is fantastic in the first 7 days. And over the next 7 days, we're hoping to basically take this bankroll from 3,300, you know, to you know 4,500 or so, and then we'll you know, we'll start adding in 1-2 games when they're really good. Okay, so here we have pocket aces on the button, NL 100. This is one of our hands for the first week of our 100K challenge. So basically 5-handed, hijack opens to 2 big blinds. We of course will be 3-betting here. We go to 550. We go small, given his stack size. So GTO will be a little thrown off here, but we're just gonna go ahead and make it a 7.5 raise for the GTO. Go from there. Yeah, so it's gonna be an unsolved spot by the looks of it, because the small blind actually comes along and does he call? Okay, so he does call. So what am I gonna do here? Let's see if we can adjust this. Ah, we can't. What do we do here? Fold. What if I just call? He calls 6, 5, 10 spades. I don't think it's gonna let us do anything. Fold. Yeah, okay. Alright, so there's not really any GTO solution for this when somebody just cold calls out of the small blind, because you're just not supposed to do it. So I think we'll just assess the hand as is. So half stack opens up, and we 3-bet, and fishing you cold calls. So and then what checks around to us. So in my experience, generally in the small blind, when you have a weaker player and they cold call over a 3-bet, the vast majority of time it's pocket 10s, pocket jacks, maybe pocket 9s, maybe like king queen suited, maybe ace queen suited, like king jack suited, those types of hands that fish are going to kind of overvalue, and then like 10s and jacks should just be a 3-better fold pretty much always. But that's like kind of what you see a lot of the time in those raised 3-bet and then cold call spots. I think the dynamic could be a little different here, given the stack size of the original raiser, because like we 3-bet, he could think like if he had pocket aces or pocket kings, maybe not so much kings, but if he had pocket aces, whatever, if he had aces or kings, he could cold call here some portion of the time, thinking, okay, if I call here, there's a good chance that the short stack just rips it in. It's kind of a tournament-ish play, I would say, where you just cold call and then somebody behind you 3-bets because you're just on such shorter stacks, right? So you will see that some portion of the time, but I think generally speaking, when he just cold calls here, like we can put him on pocket 10s, pocket jacks, like, you know, suited ace queen, king jack suited, king queen suited, stuff like that. You know, stuff that's just going to be completely dominated by the 3-betting range a lot of the time, and just being like pairable position, you know, post flop. So it does check around for us. The board is 6, 5, 10. We go back and forth, and then we actually decide to overbet here with pocket aces, which I think's not great. I think given the range that we're going to put Fishing You on, we would be... I'm not sure why I would even bet this. I guess I'm thinking I'll just put this guy all in. And Fishing You's a fish, so if he has a 10, he's probably just going to stack. I would think probably about as far as my thought process went in-game. But I think in reality, we should be betting here. And like if we are betting this board, like generally speaking, you go a bit bigger, blah, 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 blah. So I think I don't like checking here. I do have the ace of diamonds. There's really not too many bad turn cards for us, but I think against fish, we have a strong hand. We're just going to want to value bet a lot. But I don't think we need to overbet here. And the reason being is that people see value, like see overbets as like crazy strong, especially like fish. So I think we should probably just go small here. You know, like 30%, 25% pot, and then give Fishing You the option to call, and then Maui, you know, if he has a 10, he's just going to rip it, and then we can shove over top. Fishing You might come over the top if he had like a flush draw, if he had like King Jack, King Queen, with like diamonds and stuff like that. Ace Queen, we can't have Ace Queen of diamonds, but those types of hands are going to come over the top a lot. And this kind of just makes them have a hand or not, whether it's like a big giant draw or like pocket fives, pocket sixes if they did something crazy, pocket tens. You know what I mean? So I don't really like the overbet there at all. He does in fact have King Jack of diamonds, so we do get it in good. But again, he has a pretty strong hand here. Obviously the money's going in. But it would have been, I think, a better position to go smaller and let him just check raise us, and then we can like rip over him or call and that kind of thing. But as the hand plays out, we do get it in good, and then 9 of diamonds on the turn, and a deuce of diamonds on the turn again, and we do get stacked and scooped. So that's fine, but again, I think that was a pretty big mistake on the flop. We do get it in good, but I still think overbetting it was not great. And I think if we went small and he just called, we might have even got Moe to rip here with like a 10 or something too. Alright guys, well that's the update for the first 7 days of the Bink or Bust 100k bankroll challenge. I hope you've enjoyed it so far. Make sure you leave some comments down below. Any stream suggestions, let me know how your guys' poker journey is going, where you're sitting, what state you're playing, any video requests, or anything you kind of maybe want to go over in stream, you know, suggested stream times, anything like that is great. I love to hear all of it, so just leave a comment down below, hit that subscribe button. We'll see everybody in the next video.